Disappearances have always puzzled and scared people. Some vanish without a trace, leaving behind only questions and heartache. In this video, we'll look at 5 real stories of mysterious disappearances that baffled America. Cases that remain unsolved and continue to haunt those left behind. It was September 20th, 1988, in Valencia County, New Mexico. Tara Calico, a 19-year-old college student, left for her daily 36-mile bike ride along New Mexico State Road 47. A sophomore at the University of New Mexico Valencia campus studying psychology, Tara also worked part-time at the First National Bank of Belen. She was intelligent and outgoing, with a bright future ahead. That morning, she left her home in Rio Communities at around 9:30 a.m. on her mother's pink Huffy bike, since hers had a flat tire. Tara planned to play tennis later and asked her mother, Patty Dole, to look for her if she wasn't home by noon. Tara never returned. Her mother went out to search for her and found nothing. This triggered a community-wide search involving law enforcement, friends, and family. The search turned up few clues. Only a cassette tape and a piece of Tara's Walkman were found along a dirt road. As weeks passed, Tara's family, especially her mother, refused to give up hope. They moved to Florida in 2003, but continued their search. Tara's parents, Patty and her husband John, were even deputized by the Valencia County Sheriff's Office, allowing them to assist in the investigation. Patty frequently appeared on national television, pleading for help in finding her daughter. In June 1989, the case took a strange twist when a Polaroid photo was found in Port St. Joe, Florida. It showed a young woman and boy, both bound. A white van had been seen where the photo was discovered. The woman resembled Tara, though FBI analysis could not confirm if it was her. Experts at Los Alamos National Laboratory were also inconclusive, but Scotland Yard in the UK believed it was Tara. Despite the photo's chilling implications, it led to no concrete answers. Tara's family was tormented by the mystery. Patty believed the woman in the photo was Tara and held on to hope that she was alive. Over time, the stress took a toll on the family, especially Patty, who died in 2006, still convinced that her daughter was out there somewhere. The family had to endure painful moments, including being shown photos of possible matches, some of which were of dismembered bodies. The investigation dragged on through several administrations of the Valencia County Sheriff's Office, each with different approaches. Search warrants were issued for various properties, but nothing was found. In the early 2000s, the FBI offered a $20,000 reward for information leading to Tara, but the case remained cold for many years. In 2013, a special task force was formed to revisit the case. It included federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. They hoped to uncover new information from old evidence. A deck of cold case playing cards featuring Tara's case was distributed, and another $25,000 reward was offered. Still, progress was slow. In June 2023, there was a breakthrough. The Valencia County Sheriff's Office, working with the FBI, announced significant progress in identifying those involved in Tara's disappearance. Sheriff Denise Vigil acknowledged the years of dedication by the agencies and emphasized that they had never given up. Although Tara's parents had passed away, her siblings, Michelle Dole, Deb Hammond Dole, Chris Calico, and Todd Calico, continued to search for answers. Investigators revealed that Tara had been stalked on her last bike ride and had received threatening notes. Local suspects were investigated, but no definitive conclusions were reached. Tara's high school friend, Melinda Esquibel, created a podcast called Vanished: The Tara Calico Investigation to keep the case in the public eye. Michelle, Tara's sister, took over this role after their mother passed away. Despite the mysterious Polaroid, investigators focused on more promising leads. Sheriff Vigil mentioned that the case's specific details were being kept confidential to protect the investigation. In October 2021, a search warrant was issued at a Valencia County home, but the details were sealed by the court. Now the case is nearing a resolution, with plans to present it to the district attorney for potential charges. The sheriff's office continues to encourage anyone with additional information to come forward. It was the early morning of August 30th, 2013, when 19-year-old Bryce Laspisa was on his way home to Laguna Niguel, California. He had just started his second year at Sierra College, located near Sacramento. Bryce, known for being smart, outgoing, and artistically gifted, had been behaving strangely in the weeks before he went missing. At 2 a.m., Bryce called his mother, Karen Laspisa, saying he was pulling over to rest on the side of Interstate 5. That was the last time anyone heard from him. Bryce was born on April 30th, 1994, in Springfield, Illinois, to Karen and Michael Laspisa. As their only child, he shared a close bond with them. Bryce had a passion for art and would often spend his free time drawing or playing video games. Those who knew him described him as intelligent and friendly. After finishing high school in 2012, Bryce and his family moved to Laguna Niguel, Orange County. He enrolled at Sierra College, a 7-hour drive from his parents' home, and had a smooth first year. He studied graphic and industrial design, became close friends with his roommate, Sean Dixon, and started dating fellow student Kim Sly. However, things began to change in the summer of 2013. Bryce started drinking heavily, and Sean noticed he was consuming hard liquor every day. Kim and Sean also found out that Bryce had been taking a prescription drug for ADHD to stay awake and game longer. During the first 2 weeks of his sophomore year, Bryce's behavior grew more concerning. He broke up with Kim through a text, saying she would be better off without him. Bryce also sent an odd message to Sean, telling him, "I love you, bro, seriously. You're the best person I've ever met. You saved my soul." Then, Bryce gave Sean his Xbox and a pair of diamond earrings that his mother had gifted him. Alarmed, Sean contacted Bryce's mum, Karen, on August 28th to express his concerns. Karen called Bryce and found him at Kim's house, where they were arguing over his car keys. Kim had taken them away, worried that Bryce was too impaired to drive. Karen convinced Kim to give Bryce the keys back, and Bryce left Kim's house at 11:30 p.m. Bryce should have returned to his apartment, but Karen missed a call from him at 1 a.m. Phone records showed that Bryce had driven an hour past his apartment. The next morning, on August 29th, Karen and Michael got a notification that Bryce had used their insurance's roadside assistance at a gas station in Buttonwillow, which was 3 hours from home. Worried, they called the gas station, where an employee named Christian told them he had delivered gas to Bryce at 9 a.m. When Christian saw Bryce still sitting in his car hours later, he contacted Karen and Michael again. They spoke to Bryce, urging him to come home, and Christian helped get him back on the road. However, Bryce never made it home. At 3 p.m., Karen and Michael filed a missing person report when Bryce hadn't arrived. Police tracked his phone and found him parked just a few miles from where Christian had helped him. Bryce wasn't intoxicated, and there were no signs of drugs or alcohol in his car. After speaking with his parents again, Bryce agreed to head home. At 2 a.m. on August 30th, Bryce called his parents, saying he was too tired to drive and was pulling over to sleep. That was the last time they heard from him. Later that morning, authorities found Bryce's car at the bottom of a 25-foot embankment near Castaic Lake. The car was on its side, and the rear windshield had been broken from the inside, suggesting Bryce had escaped. Bloodhounds tracked his scent to a nearby truck stop, but Bryce had left behind his wallet, phone, and laptop in the car. Surveillance footage later showed that Bryce hadn't pulled over to sleep as he claimed. Instead, he had driven toward the lake and then returned down the same road 2 hours later. Extensive searches of the area, including using cadaver dogs and divers, turned up nothing. There have been many theories about Bryce's disappearance. Some think he may have been in a mental health crisis, worsened by his use of and alcohol. Others believe he could have been trying to start a new life. A burnt body found near Castaic Lake after Bryce's disappearance sparked rumors, but it was later confirmed to be the victim of an unrelated homicide. Over the years, reported sightings of Bryce have surfaced, including one in Montana. However, a detective ruled out the resemblance after investigating. Bryce's family continues to hope he will be found and keeps an active Facebook page to share updates. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has also released an age-progressed image showing what Bryce might look like today at 29 years old. It was February 14, 2000, in Cleveland County, North Carolina, when 9-year-old Asher Degree went missing. Her parents, Aquila and Harold Degree, last saw her asleep in her bedroom. The disappearance remains unsolved, and Asher would be 32 years old today. That Valentine's Day, Asher left her home with her book bag sometime before dawn. Around 4 a.m., 2 separate witnesses reported seeing a young girl walking along Highway 18, just a mile from her house. One driver, a trucker, noticed the bad weather, describing it as a storm. He saw Asher run into the woods when he tried to approach her, and that was the last time anyone saw her. At around 2:30 a.m. that morning, Asher's father checked on her and her brother in their shared bedroom. Everything appeared normal. But by 6 a.m., when her mother went to wake her up, Asher was gone. The family immediately called 911, and local authorities, along with volunteers, began searching the surrounding area in Shelby, North Carolina. The search for Asher continued for days, but it was officially called off on February 23, 2000, with no major discoveries. Then, in 2001, Asher's book bag was found about 30 miles away in Burke County. Early in the investigation, several of Asher's belongings were found inside a nearby tool shed close to where she was last seen. The items included a white pencil from the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, a green marker, a Mickey Mouse hairbow, and candy wrappers. A wallet-sized photo of another girl, whom Asher's family did not recognize, was also discovered in the shed. Despite these clues, the case was delayed. In 2014, authorities believed they had a suspect, but it led to another dead end. 2 years later, in 2016, the FBI and the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office shared new information about a car that Asher may have entered on the night she disappeared. The vehicle was described as a dark green 1970s Lincoln Continental Mark IV or a Ford Thunderbird with rust near the wheel wells. In 2018, the Sheriff's Office released a video asking the public for information about additional items tied to Asher's case, including a Dr. Seuss book titled McElligot's Pool and a New Kids on the Block t-shirt that didn't belong to her. Asher's family has never given up hope. Her mother, Aquila, told WBTV, "I don't believe she's dead. I've never believed it from day one." In 2016, investigators searched a Shelby farm for clues, but came up empty-handed. In 2020, a prison inmate named Marcus Mellon, who was serving time for child sex crimes, sent a letter to the Shelby Star. In it, he claimed to know how Asher died and where her body was buried. After an interview with Mellon, authorities found his information to be false. Over the years, many theories have surfaced online about Asher's disappearance, though most are unverified. Some people have questioned the family's timeline, but law enforcement has repeatedly stated that Asher's parents are not considered suspects. Sheriff Alan Norman believes Asher's case can be solved, and investigators continue to ask the public for tips. There is currently a $45,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. Updated photos showing what Asher might look like today have been released by the FBI, in hopes of keeping the case in the public's mind. It was February 9, 2004, in Woodsville, New Hampshire. Maura Murray, a 21-year-old nursing student from the University of Massachusetts Amherst, was going through personal struggles. That day, she mysteriously disappeared, leaving her family and investigators puzzled for over 2 decades. Maura was both academically and athletically gifted. She started her studies at the United States Military Academy at West Point, but later transferred to UMass Amherst to pursue nursing. However, her life wasn't without challenges. She had recently been involved in a legal issue over a stolen credit card and had also crashed her father's car, causing considerable damage. Additionally, Maura received a troubling phone call while working a campus security shift, which seemed to add to her stress. On the morning of her disappearance, Maura emailed her professors, saying there had been a death in her family and that she needed to leave school for a while. However, her family later confirmed that no one had passed away. She then packed several days' worth of clothes, withdrew $280 from her bank account, and purchased around $40 worth of alcohol from a nearby liquor store. Without telling anyone where she was headed, Maura left UMass Amherst and drove north. That evening, at around 7:27 p.m., Maura's car crashed into a ditch on Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire. A passing local resident called 911 to report the accident. Shortly after, a school bus driver stopped to offer help. Though shaken, Maura claimed she had already called the American Automobile Association, or AAA, but no such call was ever recorded. The bus driver, thinking she had everything under control, left to call the police from his home, where he had better reception. When police arrived at the scene at 7:46 p.m., Maura was missing. Her car was locked, with a box of red wine on the back seat. Inside the vehicle, officers found a Coke bottle with what appeared to be red wine, red liquid stains on the ceiling and driver's side door, and her other belongings, but there were no signs of Maura. Despite extensive searches in the area that night and in the following days, Maura was nowhere to be found. Maura's disappearance sparked a wide range of theories and intense media coverage. Some speculated that she may have run away to start a new life, possibly in Canada. Others believed she might have wandered into the woods and succumbed to the harsh winter conditions. Maura's father, Fred Murray, has always suspected foul play. He believes someone harmed Maura and that her remains might be buried in the basement of a house near the crash site. Over the years, Fred tirelessly searched for his daughter. He made frequent visits to the area, hoping for a breakthrough. In 2018, he finally gained access to a house near the crash site when it changed owners. Using cadaver dogs and ground-penetrating radar, Fred discovered possible signs of human remains beneath the basement floor. Although this gave him some hope, previous searches by authorities had turned up no significant evidence. The new homeowners allowed Fred to continue his investigation, and he remains determined to find answers. Maura's case has attracted continuous public interest, leading to podcasts, documentaries, and even a TikTok account run by her sister Julie. Julie also launched a podcast, Media Pressure, to share Maura's story and keep the case in the spotlight. She hopes that the renewed attention might lead to new information that could solve the mystery. Maura's family remembers her as a kind-hearted person with signature dimples and a radiant smile. She was an overachiever, excelling in both academics and sports. Her disappearance has left a huge void in their lives, and they continue to search for closure. The New Hampshire State Police, Attorney General's Cold Case Unit, and the FBI's Violent Criminal Apprehension Program remain involved, hoping that future developments might finally uncover the truth behind Maura's disappearance. It was December 5th, 2015, in Springfield, Virginia. Caitlin Michelle Akins, a lively 19-year-old, had returned home from Arizona to visit family and collect her high school diploma before starting cosmetology school. After spending a few days with loved ones, her mother, Lisa Sullivan, arranged for Caitlin's former stepfather, James Branton, to take her to Reagan National Airport for a 5:40 p.m. flight back to Arizona. That morning, Lisa dropped Caitlin off with James at 9:20 a.m. James planned to spend some time with her before his work shift at 3 p.m. in Fredericksburg. In the early afternoon, Lisa received two texts, one from James at 1:52 p.m., saying he had dropped Caitlin off, and one from Caitlin at 2 p.m., mentioning she was at the airport, but her phone was dying. Soon, things took a confusing turn. James revealed he hadn't dropped Caitlin at the airport, but at the Springfield metro station, saying she planned to take the train to the airport. This worried Lisa, as Caitlin wasn't familiar with the metro system or the nearby mall where James said she would wait. It seemed unlike Caitlin to take a complicated route with luggage. Lisa's concern grew when Caitlin's fiancée, Amber Rios, received a strange text from Caitlin. Something came up. I'm not coming back today. I'll let you know when I get a new flight. I won't be able to text for a bit. Caitlin never made her flight, and her phone went silent. By 7:15 p.m., more unusual texts appeared. Caitlin messaged Lisa, saying she was staying with a friend and needed time alone. Amber got another saying, I can't come back, I cheated on you. None of this sounded like Caitlin, and the wording seemed off. Worried, Lisa went to the police, but they initially believed Caitlin might have left voluntarily. Days later, a road crew found Caitlin's suitcase in a ditch near Fredericksburg, over 50 miles from the airport. The suitcase was damaged and appeared to have been thrown from a vehicle. Inside were her wallet, cash, debit cards, and plane ticket. But her phone, clothes, and high school diploma were missing. The discovery heightened fears that something terrible had happened. Detective Rob Marshall took charge of the investigation. Tracing Caitlin's phone showed it had never been near the airport or metro. Instead, it had been in the Fredericksburg area all day, the same area where her suitcase was found. This suggested she never left after James dropped her off. As the last person to see her, James faced intense scrutiny. He maintained that he dropped her off at the metro station, but security footage from the mall, metro, and airport showed no sign of either Caitlin or James. His timeline didn't add up, and he refused a polygraph test on his lawyer's advice, later halting cooperation with the police. Suspicion grew when it was revealed that James had skipped work the day Caitlin disappeared, despite telling Lisa otherwise. The police searched James's property, but found no evidence linking him to Caitlin's disappearance. Lisa remained suspicious of another property James owned, but legal restrictions prevented a search. James's tech devices were heavily encrypted, and authorities couldn't unlock them without his help. Despite the odd behavior, no direct evidence tied him to the case. Further investigation into Caitlin's life revealed that she had spent the night before her disappearance with friends and engaged in an intimate encounter. She later expressed guilt to a friend, which may explain the strange messages to Amber. But it didn't explain her vanishing. The possibility of foul play seemed more likely as time passed. Caitlin's family believed she wouldn't have run away, given her life and future plans in Arizona. The unusual texts and phone activity raised more red flags. At one point, there was speculation that her case might be linked to the murder of Heather Taccone, another young blonde woman found dead in the same area. However, this theory was ruled out after 2 men were convicted of Heather's murder. Despite extensive searches, media coverage, and countless interviews, Caitlin has not been found since her suitcase was discovered. James remains a person of interest, but without more evidence, the case has been delayed. Caitlin's family continues their search, holding on to hope that they will one day learn the truth about what happened to her.